Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today, let's talk about asking for a raise. Have you ever had to ask for a raise? Right, I have, and it sucks, right? I was talking to a friend recently who's having a bit of financial trouble. Just like every month just seems to be, the expenses are going up, but the income is staying the same, salary is staying the same, right? And I mean, everybody has rough months. So, I mean, I have them from time to time, right? But for me now, it's usually because, I've hired too many people than I can afford, or I'm not taking on enough clients, or, maybe the app income's going down, so I need to release some new stuff out onto the market, all that kind of stuff. So, but that wasn't always the case, right? I used to be an employee too, so I know what it's like. And my friend and I were talking about some of the things they could do, and I only see, as an employee, I only see three possible solutions to this. So it's just, the first one is to find a new job, and I think that's probably the best solution of all of them, because you find a new job, you don't just get a little bit of money, extra money. You get, you could jump, quite a bit, right? But it could be harder because if you're not marketing yourself, your CV is not up to date and everything. The second one is to get a part-time job. And this one really sucks. I mean, it's bad enough you have to have one job, let alone two, and come home from work and then go off to another job. I mean, it's just, I don't think that's a good one. And the third solution is to ask for a raise, and that could be really hard. In fact, I think most people would just do the first two, because the third one is just, it's such a hard conversation to have, right? And I've done it before, and I've had to go to my boss and ask for a raise, and it didn't go well. I didn't actually get the raise, right? So I used to work for this small company. This was years ago. I was the web developer. I mean, it was only a handful of people in there, but so I started out on a certain salary, and then my salary stayed consistent. It never went up, for the years that I was there, right? And so after a while, so I started, realizing that as expenses went up, as family and all this so many things that go up from inflation and all that, I realized I wasn't making enough money. So I was reading a lot of self-help books at the time, right? Like Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins and everything. And one of the things they say is, dress for success, do more than you're paid for, all this stuff. And I was doing that. I was dressing better. I was taking on more responsibilities. I was thinking, they're gonna notice that I'm doing more and all this kind of stuff, and eventually they'll give me a raise or whatever. But they didn't. Nothing ever happened, right? So it was just, things just kept going. I was just working more, working longer, working more, all that kind of stuff. So eventually I had to go and ask for a raise, right? So I booked a meeting with the director of the company. It was, like I said, small company. And I went in there and said, "Hey, Eric, what's up?" I said, I want to talk to you about, expenses are going up, inflation's going up, my salary's been consistent, I would like a raise, right? And what they said was, they looked at me and went, "Ooh, Eric, yeah, you see, the thing is, we have a policy here." Again, a policy, it was only a company of less than 10 people. "We have a policy that we only pay the market average, and you're already making a little bit above the market average for a web developer," right? So I said, but I could do more things, all this kind of stuff. And if I said, "I see what you're saying. I'll tell you what, let's reevaluate this after 2 to 3 months." Like 2 to 3 months, everything was always 2 to 3 months away. So 2 to 3 months, 3 months later, I tried to have the meeting again, and nothing ever happened, right? And having that meeting really showed me how powerless I was in the situation, right? I went in there and just how insignificant. In fact, I'm still upset about this. I try not to hold a lot of grudges in my life, but this is one that I still hold. In fact, one of my fantasies is that one day Overpass will become so big that that we'll get enough exposure and everything like that. Build enough followers. Everybody will know an Overpass app, and then and this company doesn't exist anymore. But this director, wherever they went to some other company, they'll see me and say, "Hey, I know that guy," and they'll call up and say, "Hey, Eric, hey, long time no see. I see you're doing apps now. Hey, we need an app." And then I will slam the phone down on them, right? Because I'm petty. That's what I fantasize about. That's right up there next to girlfriends who wouldn't go out with me in high school, right? Anyway, or girls who want to go out with me in high school. So but you know, as much as I'm upset with them, I was really upset with myself too, right? Because one of the things is I went in there and I was nervous and I didn't have any, you know, I was like I was begging, I was asking. I wasn't saying I was going to leave if I didn't get it. I was just saying, can I please have a raise, right? And the thing that bothered me the most, the thing that I really hated myself the most about, is I knew that somebody else who was more assertive, more powerful, would have went in there and demanded it, and they would have got it, right? But not me. That's not me. Eventually, what happened eventually was I did leave that job, and I went, you know, I quit. I quit without having a job to go to. It was a very rocky, but you know, eventually I landed on my feet. A few really bad months, but then eventually I was making a lot more someplace else. One of the things I took from that meeting was I resolved to never put myself in that kind of situation again. I would never let somebody be in control of how much money I could make, right? I would never let somebody control my education. I would never become a cog in a big machine, right? So whenever I would take on a contract someplace, I would try as hard as I can to be one of the top players, right? And you know what? When you try to be one of the top players when you go someplace, you meet a lot of other people who are trying to be the top players too. And it's, you know, and you can be a little bit competitive, right, but also really cool because everyone's trying to do their best, right? It wasn't going to be somebody, I'm just going to go and do what I'm supposed to do. It's like I'm going to do as much as I can, right? And then eventually, you know, I wanted to start my own company. I wanted to get a bit more in control of things like that. But you know, but at the time, I mean, it's difficult when you have kids and a mortgage and all that kind of stuff. And I understand it whenever, you know, when I talk to my friend, I completely understand that because I've been in that situation too, right? And I wouldn't suggest anybody take the drastic steps that I did, but. You know, I would say that for those of you who have to talk to your manager or go ask for a raise, right? Or whether you have done it or whether you have one that's overdue, I sympathize with you completely. That's a really hard thing to do, right? And if I had to choose between asking for a raise or taking on a new job, definitely take on a new job. Always be looking, always be checking the market. You know, they don't have to know that, but always be, you know, because if you go, like I said, your salary can jump up, you know, a great amount if you go and ask for, like, you go from job to job, you can jump like big leaps, but if you get a raise, it's just incremental little bits. So at least that's the way it's been in my experience. So anyway, for those of you who have been in that situation where you had to ask for a raise, how did it go? Did you get the raise? Or were you like, did you go in there like just John Wayne and say, give me a raise, damn it, and get it? You know, if so, you know, good for you. I definitely wasn't that way, and and it didn't go well for me at all. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.